I'm Daniel Gonçalves. I'm the current Vice President for Education of the Computer Science Engineering Department. And this is a department that was founded in 1998. We've been taking care of teaching in these areas since then. We are structured into 5 different scientific areas where we do our teaching and our research. Those are interaction and graphics, methodologies for programming, distributed systems, artificial intelligence, and information systems. And we have around 80 faculty and many more people that collaborate with us on a regular basis. And we have a presence in both the Alameda campus and the Tagus Park campus. So at the bachelor level, we offer 3 bachelors. We have the Computer Science Engineering Bachelor here at Alameda. Then we have the same thing at Tagus Park, but they're essentially the same thing, or even if they are in different campuses. And then we have the Bachelor on telecommunication and informatics. At the master's level, we offer the masters that come in the direct continuity of these bachelors. So we have the masters on computer science engineering at Alameda and Tagus Park, and we have the masters on telecommunications and informatics. But we also have very significant participation together with other departments in the data science engineering masters and also the biomedical engineering masters. In fact, even the telecommunications and informatics masters is done together with another department, and that helps us offer the best possible set of competences and courses that students may want to take to get all the knowledge they need in those areas. Then we also have some PhDs, of course. As one would expect, we have the Computer Science Engineering PhD program, but also we have a number of other participations in other PhDs, and the most important will be the cybersecurity related PhD, and then one related to multimedia technologies and interaction, human-computer interaction, and skills like those. As one would expect, the bachelors are more horizontal, so they'll give you the base training that you need to be able to tackle pretty much all the problems that you may find in the area of computer science engineering. And then in the masters you get to narrow it down a little bit more according to your interests, and in the PhD, of course, it's very specific and you can really tailor it to your very specific topic of interest. Well, Técnico Lisbon is a very well regarded university, and you can see this in a very concrete way if you look at the, for instance, international rankings of universities and colleges, and that is in very big part because of the high quality of our faculty. This is a research university, and so all of our professors here are also top-level researchers in their respective communities and the research areas. So that, of course, allows us to be able to teach the most cutting-edge things in those areas, and you'll be able to get knowledge here that goes well beyond the basics that you could, for instance, learn by looking up resources online, which nowadays is of course possible, but here you'll be going beyond that. Apart from that, we have a a very good track record in terms of the outcomes of our students. For instance, I'm speaking in particular of students that take the bachelor's and master's of our department. We have essentially full employment. So after a few months, after they finish their programs, according to our statistics, 98% of all people who finished are employed, and furthermore, they're employed in these areas, so they don't have to go find some other job because of some kind of scarcity in the area, or because the degrees aren't well regarded. So that's a very good reason why you should come here. In fact, many of our students end up finding employment even before finishing, because the demand is very high, and the quality of their learning here is recognized not only here in Portugal but also elsewhere, because we also have very high internationalization rates. So people finish here and they very easily find work anywhere in Europe or in the world. We have many former students working all around the world. Well, I would say one of our big strengths has to do with the fact that we live in an ecosystem, and our faculty, for the most part, belongs not only to the computer science department, but also to a number of different research institutes where they undertake their research and they conduct projects. They establish connections throughout Europe and the world, and all of this gives us a very broad view on the subjects, and allows us to then transfer some of that to our students. In fact, another thing that is also very positive in this context here, and that is to some extent made possible because of all of those contacts, is the fact that companies come to Técnico and they work as partners of Técnico, and they help us in the obvious way by offering internships and all of that, but also very actively sponsoring material, refurbishing of labs and all of those things. So this very lively ecosystem is one of the big strengths that we have here. And also this ends up revealing itself in the entrepreneurship of our former students. There are many companies, some unicorns even, that were created here at Técnico by students that once they leave Técnico, they create their own thing, and then quickly it gains momentum and grows in very significant ways. So that's something we try to promote, and usually with very good results. In fact, several of our students end up during the masters doing the work for their dissertation in companies. There's lots of different subjects that are offered to students that come to us by initiative of those companies that get in touch. They have a real problem and they want to see it fixed with not only the default solutions, but they want someone with a better view, a more advanced type of thing, and they come to us and they recognize in our students the ability to provide that. So we have many masters that are developed together with companies to solve real problems from the real world, and then of course they lead to employment in those companies and very useful job experience, which is also a plus. So the classes in the bachelor's are usually taught in Portuguese, but everything in the master's and at the PhD level is taught in English, as long as there's at least one student in class that is not a native Portuguese speaker. Having said that, even if in the bachelor's everything is in Portuguese, all the faculty is fluent in English, and most of the studying materials are also in English. So although it may be a bit harder, it's not impossible to follow what's going on by taking advantage of that. So I would say that the ideal path is the one you want to take. We've always had this philosophy inside the department that because computer science engineering is a very broad subject that touches everything from computer graphics to computer-human interaction to distributed systems, blockchain, cybersecurity, and many, many more, students should be able to choose the things that they really want to learn about. And thus, especially at the master's level, we offer a wide range of courses on all these subjects, and there's complete flexibility for students to choose the subjects they think make more sense. We offer some guidance regarding this. We have grouped the different courses into sets which we call specializations. So those offer a cohesive set of courses that you can take knowing they will all be related to the same thing and they will complement each other in terms of competencies that you can learn. But you're not even required to do that. So if you have a very specific interest in, let's come up with, I don't know, security in online video games, you can take some courses that have more to do with games and game design, and others that have to do with cybersecurity, and you can do whatever combination you'd like. So there's all the flexibility that you may want to have to really fine-tune your learning to your interests and your tastes. And of course, there are some guidance. The specializations are the most obvious way in which this happens, but also you can come and talk to the professors or the coordinators that can give you an overview of what's going on and what you can expect from each of these courses and specializations. And of course, you can get guidance from your colleagues that are already here, both informally by speaking to them in campus, but also a bit more formally, let's say, in a more structured way, if you go to the student associations that we have here. And I would highlight in particular NEIST, which is the group of computer science engineering students, and they develop a number of initiatives, some together with faculty, to inform students what they can expect in their education here, and they also organize some training on specific topics themselves that may help complement what you learn in the formal courses. And NEIST in particular is also responsible for organizing Semana Informatica, which is a fair, one of the biggest, if not the biggest event in the area of computer science in Portugal, with invited speakers from all around the world, and the job fair and demos and all that. So they're very active and they will help you. In a similar way, there's NETI, which is the group of students of the Telecommunications and Informatics degree, which works in a similar capacity. So there's lots of ways in which you can get help fine-tuning and tailoring your choice of subjects so that it makes sense. Apart from what you can do here, we also have a number of double degrees and joint masters with other universities around the world, And for instance, recently we came up with a new one with West Michigan University, and we have others, and some new ones are being negotiated right now. Those will give you the opportunity of doing one master's but getting two diplomas, because it's going to be done half here, half at the other university, and in the end you get a diploma from both places. So that's a very attractive thing that you can do. People who do their degree with us end up in the most varied places, but I would think that what most people would consider a dream job would be, for instance, going to work in one of the big names in technology, Microsoft, Facebook, Google, and others like those. And we do have several students that ended up working there. So the things they learn here are more than enough for them to get a job there, go through all the rounds of interviews and all of those fairly demanding processes. And we have many former students in positions like those. For people who have a different type of view on what they want to do with their lives, as I've mentioned before, there's also many people that just go out and create their own company, and usually with a very high degree of success. So if entrepreneurship is more your thing, we also make or help make that happen, because there are some courses at Técnico that you can take as part of what you can do in computer science engineering that focus on management and focus on entrepreneurship, and that will give you a head start in those areas. And finally, there are also people that don't go to work in these big companies or create their own thing, but they very easily find job in very specific smaller companies that really match their interests to do very specific things. So computer science is needed pretty much everywhere these days, and we've had students that are really interested in a very narrow thing, but even those find what for them is their dream job. They don't go to a consulting firm because they don't have the profile for that. They don't want to go to a big and soulless company, as some would put it. They don't want to create something themselves, but even without going in any of those directions, they can still find something they find rewarding. So your dream job depends on what your dreams are, but regardless of what they are, you'll be able to find a good match here. One of the things that you should take into consideration when coming here is that although what you need to learn here is something that you can do with some effort, it does require some effort. So you need to start working since day one. But more importantly, you should seek the advice of your colleagues, other students that are already here. Each place has its own way of working, its own culture, and it's important that you get to know it as soon as possible so that you don't stumble upon something along the way. Your colleagues will be able to help you with that, and I think that's the most important thing that I would advise you to do, apart from all the regular things that you need to do when you're studying, but those you know already. One final thing that I would advise you to do is to take advantage of the fact that you're in Portugal and in Lisbon. It's a beautiful city, a beautiful country, and you'll get to know it by being here, and it will not only enrich your experience, but also will help you cope with all the hustle and bustle of having to study and do the projects and all of that. Not everything is that, and maintaining a good balance between both things is very important. Okay, so in the same way in which we teach and research in many different areas, we also have developed over the years projects in many different areas. But I would highlight here 2 or 3 which I think had a very direct and important impact in society, given the societal challenges that we face nowadays. For instance, we had a project which we did together with the association that gives support to blind people, to help develop new ways of interacting with smartphones that are more accessible, so that enable people that have visual impairments to use those technologies in the same way as all other users. And this is of course very important, because most of our lives nowadays are mediated by those devices, and not being able to use them is a serious hindrance. And it's interesting to note that some of the results that we got with that project also extend to other users, because in fact, if you make it easier for some people, you're making it easier for everyone. So that's a project where we had a very direct impact in society. On a similar note, we also had an European project not so long ago, where we were trying to create a personal assistant for older citizens, which are still active, which are still interested in keeping up with everything that's going on in the world, but sometimes have some difficulty in using some technologies, have some difficulty in getting in touch with their friends, their families. So we specifically studied their needs, but we also studied what they can understand, what they can do more easily, and created this virtual assistant that did speech recognition, for instance, to help them input commands. And it would appear, right now, we all have speech recognition in our phones with our digital assistants, but it's not as easy as that, because speech patterns of older people are different. And one thing that we quickly found out was that current speech recognition systems don't work as well with those users. So we went down and created models of speech specific for those users to enable them to also use that technology.